Well, welcome everyone to the final performance of the 2020 season for the Baltimore Playwrights Festival. The play today is by John Bavoso, Camp Manuppia. I've never understood exactly how to pronounce that. That's on my take on it, though. I'm going to turn this over in just a second to our illustrious director for this piece, Tittle. I'm Tim David Copenay, and I am the chair of the Baltimore Playwrights Festival, and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the final production. I'd also like to remind you that the Baltimore Playwrights Festival has become its own producing arm, and coming up for the next season, we will be premiering a worldwide premiere of a new musical written by Rich Espy and John Jensen from the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, a musical based on the life of William Donald Schaefer called Do It Now, which I will start recasting. We were about 70% done with the casting when COVID shut us down in a year ago, February. So we will get back to that, and that will be part of the Fells Point Corner Theater's regular season for 21-22, and it will open early in July of 2022. So keep an eye out on our website and our Facebook page for more updates on that. So without further ado, again, welcome. Enjoy this. I'm going to be stepping away and muting and turning off my camera, and I will turn this over to Andre. Andre.
Hello, I'm George Andre Tittle. I'm the director of today's stage reading of John Bavoso's very funny new play, Camp Manuppia. Thank you for joining us for this reading. We welcome you and your comments on both the presentation, but more importantly, on the play itself. And for those of you who are watching this after the fact via YouTube, please take a moment to share any thoughts you may have about the play in the comments section below for the playwright. Now, we have assembled a very talented, hardworking cast who's been preparing for this presentation. So before we begin, I will ask each of them to introduce themselves and the role that they will be reading. Alex.
Hi, my name is Alex Shade, and I will be reading for the role of Mikey today.
I'm Natalie Ann Valentine, and I'll be reading Joe Walker.
Hi, I'm Thomas Bowers, and I'll be reading Tewks.
Hello, my name is Daniel Brown. I'll be reading for Darnell.
Hi, I'm Archie Williams, and I'll be reading Pat McCloskey, counselor, and convict number 1.
Hi, I'm Bob Jones, and I'll be reading Counselor Peavy and convict number 2.
All righty. So without further ado, we will begin. Camp Manuppia, an alt-mass comedy by John Bavoso. Scene 1. At Rise, 2 bed sheets hanging from a clothesline block the set from the view of the audience. The sheets have been crudely painted on. The left says camp, and the right says Mannuppia. The murmurings of a perplexed audience and the sounds of crickets, birds, etc. can be heard. Finally, Mikey pokes his head out from between the sheets, at which time a spotlight abruptly hits him and everything goes silent. He's caught off guard, but slips out from behind the improvised curtains. He's wearing what may have once been a standard issue camp outfit, but has since been elaborately transformed into something new.
Oh, hi, hello there. I mean, good evening, everyone. Parents, siblings, friends, etc. I realize that it's unorthodox to hold a performance such as this at the end of a camp, such as this. But we, your children, and the minimum wage earning adults tasked with keeping us alive in the woods, thought you deserved an explanation for what went on here this past week. And because everyone you're about to see owes me a huge favor, for reasons that will become clear in due time. Oh, geez, look at me, getting ahead of myself already. Please, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Mikey, nay Michael Armstrong, the conceiver, head deviser, and visionary director of the piece to which you're about to be treated. My theatrical credits include writing, directing, and starring in this past spring's critically acclaimed Gallant Valley High Drama Club production of the first ever one-man gender-swapped version of the beloved American musical Annie.
He does a step ball change complete with jazz hands.
Now that introductions are out of the way, I will step aside and let the magic of the theater do what it does best. And if any of you happen to get service in this God-forsaken cultural wasteland and your phone goes off during the performance, I will stop the show, snatch it away, and send it to its watery grave at the bottom of Lake Testosterona. You've been warned.
He turns, first ripping down the sheet with Mannuppia written on it, then, with a more dramatic flourish, tearing down the camp banner and wrapping it around himself like a cape as he exits. In doing so, he reveals a campfire scene with a small raised stage and a couple of logs for benches. Darnell sits on one reading a graphic novel. Mikey re-enters, capeless, and takes a seat on the bench next to him. Darnell rests his head on Mikey's shoulder.
I hate this part.
Just smile and nod your way through it, per usual. Wait, no smiling. Smiling is for girls. You'd think I'd have that part down by now.
I have it all memorized, which is why it's dumb for us to have to sit through it yet again.
It'll be over in a jiffy. And you know it's not for us.
Every second that passes, there's more nature on me. Ugh.
Tewks enters and heads toward them.
Whoa.
What?
Fresh meat, 12 o'clock.
Whoa.
Hi, this place is packed. Is this seat taken?
No, it's not. Sit. Please, if you want to. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, obviously.
Thanks. I'm new.
I know. I mean, yes. I mean, you don't say.
What my temporarily malfunctioning friend here means is that we don't get a lot of new campers.
So you guys have done this before?
Every summer for the past 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm Darnell, and this mess is Mikey.
Cool. I'm Tewksbury.
Really?
It's a family name, but everyone calls me Tewks.
Your parents named you Tewksbury and then had the audacity to send you here?
I'm not sure the two are related, and it was my idea to come.
What?
Boys, settle down.
McCloskey and Peavy enter, taking their place on the platform. McCloskey has a bandage wrapped around his head while Peavy has one arm in a sling.
Boys, settle down. Save that energy for the pickleball court. For all our new parents, my name is Pat McCloskey, director of this camp, and this is my head counselor, Harold Peavy. We want to thank you for choosing Camp Manuppia. You can trust us to put your sons on the right path. They weren't born this way. Masculinity is something you can learn, and we are here to teach it.
It's not to say that you've failed as parents in any way.
On the contrary, you're fighting an uphill battle against the increasingly feminized society. Right now, in the first years of the 21st century, these boys are subject to a barrage of emasculating messages. All of them saying that they should be ashamed of acting like the bold, powerful, and successful men they were born to be. And that is why we gather here, deep in the forest primeval, cut off from the corrupting influences of the modern world, to help them reconnect with the primitive alpha male inside and commune with other men in masculine, manly manfulness. Isn't that right, Counselor Peavy?
Yes, sir.
Campers, you will have experiences this week that will change the course of your lives forever. All you've got to do is follow a few simple rules.
Peavy holds up a poster with rule number 1 written on it.
From here on out, your tear ducts are purely decorative because real men don't cry.
Unless, of course, your favorite sports team loses.
This is more of a monologue than a Q&A session. Okay, yeah, new kid.
What about if someone you love dies?
Oh, still no. You stoically think about what you could have done to prevent their demise in the first place. And then you shove all that pain into a bottle buried deep in your chest until one day it resurfaces in the form of sudden cardiac event. Now, following on rule number 1, rule number 2 is that real men love sports. Playing them, watching them, fantasizing about them at night alone on our computers. The sporting events are the modern day gladiatorial matches, violent and visceral.
More civilized. Instead of killing each other immediately, contemporary athletes died decades later due to debilitating brain injuries, all for our entertainment and vicarious sense of accomplishment.
Exactly. Being part of a team will reinforce your son's newfound masculinity. Training together, overcoming obstacles together, getting naked and showering together. All of this will help these boys create healthy, appropriate relationships with other men.
Does this include figure skating?
Hell no! I'm talking about real sports, team sports, contact sports.
So golf and NASCAR are out too?
Do all of you have tree sap in your ears? What did I just say about no questions? Now, the third and most important rule of being a man is that real men enjoy the company of women.
Like at brunch?
No, we don't want to sit and chat with them. We pursue them. We conquer them. We protect them and ignore them. Masculine men are, in a word, aggressively heterosexual.
That's 2 words.
Real men get as many words as they want. Parents, Counselor Peavy and I assure you that when you return at the end of the week, your children will be oozing testosterone. These campers who have attended year after year can attest to that. What now?
If the program is so successful, why would we need to come back?
Oh, you won't need to. You'll want to.
You'll soon discover that this place is a sanctuary, an island of strength in a sea of womanly passivity. You will return to recharge your masculine batteries, to be with your own fellow men without shame, away from the prying eyes of society. It's important in a confusing world to create a simple, pure space where men can be men without having to apologize for it. And now, parents, I'm going to have to ask you to head out and let us do our very important work. Campers, Counselor Peavy will now come around to collect your phones.
Our phones?
They limit our exposure to the outside world. Don't want anything to interfere with the reprogramming. I mean, bonding.
Peavy comes around and the boys drop their Nokias and flip phones into a bag.
All your phones, Darnell.
Darnell removes 2 more phones, a pager, and a PDA from various pockets and reluctantly drops them into the bag as well.
Parents, as you go, know that you're doing a great thing for your sons. When next you see them, they will have grown into men. Men who will be thanking you for this gift.
There's the sound of car doors closing and vehicles peeling out along a dirt road.
Okay, the coast is clear.
McCloskey, Mikey, and Darnell heave giant sighs of relief.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
My word. That gets harder to pull off every year. Now that you smartasses made it any easier, of the dozens of campers here, you 2 punks just had to sit in the front row.
Peavy pulls a feather boa out of the phone bag and tosses it to McCloskey, who wraps it sumptuously around his neck.
We were just trying to keep things interesting. Dee was getting bored.
What's going on?
A disco ball drops from above as Cher's Believe plays softly in the background.
And how did you hide that in a tree?
It's the first day disco. Time to celebrate another week of freedom.
From what?
Parents, social expectations, the tyranny of pants. It's up to you, baby.
But freedom isn't free. He uses us as guinea pigs for his new drag personas. Who are you test driving this year?
Allow me to introduce a Cheesecake Lanai, the fiercest sexagenarian in all southern Florida.
Nice. You a Dorothy or a Rose?
Who?
Oh, I do declare Blanche Devereaux is the only acceptable answer.
Wait, what happened to creating a space for us to feel like real men?
Ew. Have you ever met a real man? Why would you want to be that? Boring.
Aggressive.
Primitive?
Odiferous?
But that's literally why this place exists, to teach us how to be manly.
What's so funny? Oh.
What is so funny?
The new girl is adorable. That's what's funny. A sweetheart. There's a whole lot of camp happening in these woods, but very little masculinity.
But you just went on and on about how...
Hey, that's just stick to fool your parents. This is in fact a safe space, but for the gender non-traditional, overly theatrical, and borderline agoraphobic.
So you're not going to teach me how to be butch?
Oh, heavens, no. We're going to teach you how to not worry about being butch.
Do your parents know about this?
You really think they'd let me come here if they knew I'd spent the whole week in a cabin playing video games and catching up on my reading?
It's their own fault, really. What kind of people send their children away to be brainwashed?
Besides, what do they really think happens when you put a bunch of sissies together in the woods? Spoiler alert, it's not adventure sports.
So you lie to them? Take their money under false pretenses?
Technically, yes, but it's for the greater good.
Like when the 5 original X-Men formed X-Factor Investigations pretending to neutralize mutants, when in reality, they were taking the men and teaching them to control their powers.
He gets only blank stares from the rest of the group.
We were kids, just like you once. And we know the kind of crap you get from your folks and classmates every day. So we let you take some time away and just...
Be ourselves? Yeah, I got it. But what if I don't want to be myself?
The rest of the group looks at him pityingly.
Whatever. Never mind. But how do your parents not figure it out? Why do they keep sending you back when you don't change at all?
We're good at faking it, then we need to, and telling them what they want to hear.
And hope springs eternal, especially when you're throwing money at the problem.
Besides, I'm pretty sure my parents enjoy our weaker part as much as I do, even if I don't come back a star athlete. Isn't that right, Dad?
Darnell glares out at the audience accusingly for a long moment.
Anyway, like I said, you're free to spend the week doing whatever you like, even if it's nothing at all.
Speaking of which,
Darnell unceremoniously exits.
Where's he going?
Back to his bunk. He's convinced sunshine and fresh air are conspiring to kill him. Come on, I'll show you our cabin.
Fine. Just let me grab my phone.
Nope. That rule is real.
It's for your own protection, for everyone's protection. The only way to keep what's really going on here a secret is a full communications blackout.
Just think of it this way. What's the first rule of Fight Club?
That it must be every straight man's favorite movie?
These are going into a locked safe, and you'll get them back at the end of the week. Heck, you may find you enjoy living off the grid.
Doubtful. You were saying about our cabin?
Come on, I'll show you.
Tewks and Mikey exit.
I don't know about that one, Harry. He may be trouble.
Oh, come now, he's just new. He'll open up eventually. They always do.
I hope you're right. Mwah. In the meantime, help me pick out the right caftan for my complexion.
They open a camp trunk full of colorful fabric as the music swells and lights fade. Scene 2. Lights up on the inside of a cabin. There are 2 sets of bunk beds. Darnell sits in the bottom bunk of one reading. The bedspread features a superhero or video game motif. The other bunk is empty, but elaborately decorated with colorful accessories and a stuffed unicorn or 2. Mikey enters ahead of Tewks, who's pulling a rolling suitcase behind him.
This is my bunk, and that one's Darnell's, obviously. I hope you don't mind the top bunk.
You'd think at a camp like this they'd all be bottoms.
Mikey and Darnell meet eyes, and after a moment, Mikey breaks out in hysterical, over-the-top laughter.
Oh my gosh, you are so funny.
Thanks.
Tewks walks over to Darnell's bunk, takes off his hat, and drops it onto the top bunk, to Mikey's disappointment.
Is it okay if I take this one?
go nuts.
Tewks begins to silently transfer the contents of his suitcase into his footlocker while Mikey drapes himself over his bunk.
Baptist?
Huh?
Pentecostal?
What?
Mormon?
Is he playing categories by himself?
He's trying to figure out what flavor of repressed you are.
Oh, I'm Jewish, actually.
Orthodox.
Reformed. But we haven't been to temple in years.
Is your father some kind of sports freak or something?
My dad's an accountant. The only season tickets he gets are to the symphony.
Mikey laughs aggressively again.
Well, this is probably none of my business, but why would you
want to come here?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically punishment for us. I can't imagine why anyone would...
Look, I don't want to rain on anyone's pride parade.
Oh, Dee's not gay.
Really?
Really?
I just assumed.
It's fine. Lots of people do, but that's not why I'm here. My dad, he was a big jock in high school, but now he's got a boring desk job, so he's hoping to relive his glory days through me, but I'm more interested in riding the bench with the book. Plus, with me out of the house, my mom can devote even more time to going through his Hotmail account to figure out exactly how many affairs he's having, so here I am.
Oh, wow. That sucks, man.
Okay, your turn. Story time.
I mean, there's not much to tell. I don't hate myself, but just because I'm gay doesn't mean I'm not still a man. I just want to explore that side of myself.
Interesting. Aren't you going to ask me why I'm here?
Didn't really think I needed to.
Fair enough.
So what are we going to do all week?
Well, Dee will probably spend the entire time playing Game Boy in his bunk with only minimal breaks to visit the bathhouse and mess hall.
And you?
I treat camp as a writer's retreat.
What kind of stuff do you write?
Experimental theater, young adult memoirs, introspective queer spoken word poetry, pretty much anything without a whiff of commercial viability.
Careful, or you'll be subjected to a performance of his magnum opus, an evening-length slam poem entitled Mask is a Mask.
There is no I in boy. There is no me in male. We are all desperately running a race from which we've already been disqualified.
Darnell laughs and throws a pillow at Mikey.
Now feels like a good time to find the bathroom. I'll be back.
Tewks exits as Mikey joins Darnell on his bunk.
OMG, he's gorgeous.
If you say so.
Okay, anyone with working eyes in their head would say so, but he seems like he's way more into you than me.
He's got good taste.
Probably because you're straight.
Or it could be that he's weirded out by the way you laugh like a hyena on crystal meth every time he opens his mouth.
I just want him to like me. Can you do me a favor? If you guys end up talking, alone, can you put in a good word for me?
You mean lie?
It is what we do best.
Fine. But only if it comes up naturally.
Thank you. You're a good friend.
Mikey hugs Darnell. Suddenly, an alarm goes off. It sounds for a few seconds as Tewks comes sprinting back into the cabin.
Are we under attack?
Don't worry. That just means that there's a car coming down the road. Probably a parent who forgot to leave something behind with their precious bundle of quivering femininity.
Mikey and Darnell calmly pull drab-colored blankets out from under their beds and drape them over their bunks, making them look totally nondescript.
Now we just sit and wait and try not to do anything flamboyant until we get the all clear.
It's times like this that McCloskey makes Mikey sit on his hands to keep him from gesticulating.
Ugh, that's the worst. It hurts. My people aren't known for their wrist strength.
You mean Italians?
Mikey starts to laugh aggressively again, but then sticks his fist in his mouth to stop himself. As he does, the siren stops.
See? Nothing to worry about.
Mikey and Darnell remove the blankets from their bunks and climb back onto them.
This is really it? You don't do anything all week long? No capture the flag?
Too militant.
No roasting hot dogs or marshmallows over an open fire?
Too unsanitary.
No swimming even?
Darnell hisses like a cat. He looks inquisitively at Mikey.
One year, Dee was walking to the mess hall as these guys were practicing the legendary synchronized swimming routine set to a mixtape era of 90s era Kylie Minogue, and one of them splashed like 3 drops of water on him. So naturally, he locked himself in the infirmary for the rest of the week.
Guinea worm, schistosomiasis, amoebiasis, all found in untreated lake water. And that's just the tip of the bacterial iceberg.
Don't you guys get bored just laying around?
We get a lot of practice entertaining ourselves at home.
Peavy enters.
Make some room, boys. Looks like it's going to be a full cabin this year.
The more the merrier. Who is he?
Well, that's the thing.
McCloskey enters with Joe behind him, who's carrying a rucksack on their back and whose clothes are streaked with mud.
And here's where you'll be staying. We can put a sheet around your bunk. Something. Sorry, we never even considered needing co-ed cabins.
It's okay. This is fine. Just think of me as one of the guys.
And these are your bunkmates, Mikey and Darnell here. They're old timers. This is Tewks' first year too, though.
And this is Joe Walker. Her father just dropped her off.
Sorry we were late. Dad got a flat on one of the back roads and I had to change it.
You changed it yourself.
Yeah. What else would I have done?
If you were Mikey, probably compose a sonnet about the random cruelty of nature and fallibility of man-made machines.
Oh, that's good.
He grabs his journal and pen and scratches down some notes.
Wait, you didn't know what this place was either when you signed up?
You mean a masculinity camp?
No, what it really is?
Is it not really a masculinity camp?
About that.
Our marketing materials may be a little misleading.
But you're a girl, like a real one?
I mean, I guess, but
What Mikey means is that we've never had someone like you here before.
Unless you count McCloskey by firelight, if you're squinting real hard.
Why would a girl want to come to a masculinity camp?
same reason as you, I guess.
Unlikely.
To get away from the world and engage with other masculine energies.
But you're a girl.
I think we've covered that.
You know, you can't tell someone's gender just by looking at them, right?
Well, thank you for the reminder, Judith Butler.
Does everyone else actually understand his references? Or is it just me?
McCloskey pulls an air horn out of his purse and blows it.
Everybody settle down. Thank you. Now, technically, nothing at camp bylaws that excludes Joe from being here.
Thank you.
However, Mikey, you are also correct that if you came here expecting a lot of red-blooded bonding time, you're likely to be disappointed.
Sorry about it.
But this is a masculinity camp. Your brochure said, so there's not going to be any wood chopping or flag football or running through the forest pretending to be a pack of wolves.
Afraid not.
Bummer.
I know, right?
I know you're upset, but Counselor Peavy and I never imagined that anyone would willingly, let alone enthusiastically, sign themselves up for a camp like this.
And up until this year, we were right.
But there's nothing to say that you still can't do those things if you really want to. Except maybe the wolves thing. That sounds dangerous because of, you know, actual wolves.
I don't think wolves live in this part of the country, honey.
Listen, baby. The only wildlife I want to know anything about are the other grown men with hairy bodies. Thank you.
But if you two are really that upset, we can call your parents and have them pick you up. We just ask that you don't tell them about what this place really is to protect our other campers.
Tewks and Joe look at each other for a moment.
My parents were totally against me coming here in the first place. There's no way I'm going to give them the satisfaction of leaving early.
And I could really use a break from my dad, so I guess I'm staying too.
Wonderful. It looks like we're going to be one big happy family for the next 7 days.
Mikey, Darnell, Tewks, and Joe all respond unenthusiastically.
Why don't you all unpack and get acquainted? We'll see you this afternoon for tea.
McCloskey and Peavy exit.
Do you want some help with your stuff?
I've got it, thanks.
Joe begins to unpack while the other three watch.
Guys, I'm kind of feeling like an animal at the zoo here.
I'm sorry, I just can't get over it.
Over what?
You're a girl, an actual girl. You're living the dream, and you want to come here.
Being a teenage girl isn't all John Mayer songs and trips to Hot Topic, you know.
No, I get that, but
Especially not for ones like me.
There's a moment of quiet before Mikey turns to Tewks.
how about I take you on the grand tour? We can even go bird watching before lunch.
You're into ornithology?
Bird watching is what he calls spying on the ballet dancers. They're rehearsing in Swan Lake.
2 words, dance bells.
Fine. It's not like there's anything else to do.
That's the spirit. See you in the mess hall?
I'll save you a seat.
Mikey and Tewks exit. Joe continues to unpack quietly. At a certain point, they look around to make sure Darnell isn't watching. They turn their back to him and quickly take off their muddy shirt and put on another one, revealing an improvised chest binder in the process. Darnell happens to look up at that moment.
Are you okay?
Just a little mud.
I mean, the bandages.
Oh, it's called a binder,
Like where you keep your chemistry notes?
like where I keep my boobs.
Oh, cool.
Darnell self-consciously goes back to reading while Joe gives him a once-over.
So, you're straight, huh?
I guess.
Yes.
My sexuality is largely hypothetical at this point.
Gotcha.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. You don't have a lot of experience?
It's not like I've never had opportunities. Not a lot of opportunities, but a few.
And?
Not that it's any of your business, since I just met you, but look, I resent the fact that I'm expected to be some kind of like libido monster just because I'm, and because I have other things going on that are more important to me, I'm the weirdo.
Okay.
See, you think so too.
No, I don't. And even if I did, who cares? There are obviously all kinds of things wrong with me too.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect.
That's not what you said.
I know, but it's what I should have said.
Excuse me. Does this look like Second City? Do it again and stick to the script.
Mikey disappears again, and Joe and Darnell reset.
See, you think so too.
No, I don't. And even if I did, who cares? There are obviously all kinds of things wrong with me too.
Well, you'll fit right in here on the island of misfit boys. I'm gonna go grab some food. Wanna come?
You go on ahead. I'm gonna finish unpacking. I'll catch up with you in a minute.
Suit yourself.
Darnell exits, and Joe is finally alone in the cabin. They finish unpacking as the lights fade. Scene 3. Lights up on the mess hall. There are 2 tables at opposite ends of the stage. Darnell and Tewks sit together at one, while Joe sits alone at the other. All 3 have trays on the table in front of them. Mikey enters with his tray and immediately spots Darnell and Tewks together and tries unsuccessfully to observe them stealthily. After a moment, Tewks gets up from the table and goes to put his tray back, but notices Joe and decides to join them at their table. Mikey immediately swoops in and takes his spot across from Darnell. The lights dim on Joe's table as they talk.
So
what?
What did he say?
Huh?
You're killing me. Tewks, what did he say?
Oh, about what?
About how many puka shell necklaces is too many puka shell necklaces. About me, obviously.
Oh, you didn't really come up.
Excuse me? You said you would talk to him for me.
Lights up on Joe's table where Tewks is just arriving.
Mind if I sit?
Sure, go ahead. I'm done anyway.
I guess all camp food is terrible, even at a place like this. How's your first day going?
Okay, I guess. I mean, I'm glad Mikey and Darnell and the rest of the campers have found a place they can be comfortable, but I can't help feeling a little
disappointed.
I guess. I feel like a bad person for thinking it, but
You were looking forward to a different experience? Me too.
Lights up on Mikey and Darnell.
I said I'd talk to him if it came up naturally.
Yeah, but you hate nature. Fine. Never mind.
Mikey begins to indignantly eat from his tray, which is loaded up with bowls of different flavors of Jell-O.
You do know they serve things other than Jell-O, right?
This is a totally balanced meal. Lime, cherry, peach. I'm tasting the rainbow.
Fine, but don't come to me when you get scurvy.
That's what the orange flavor is for. Okay, so if you didn't talk about me, what did you talk about?
I don't know, just stuff.
Come on.
Look, I don't think he's right for you, okay?
Why? Did he say something?
Nothing specific. He was just given that tired, I'm a man who likes men speech, like real men. It's dumb.
No.
Are you okay?
It's happening again.
What is?
Logan Lee.
Am I supposed to know what that means?
Lights up on Joe and Tewks.
I mean, it's kind of not fair, right? I had to practically beg my parents to let me come here. I made a PowerPoint and everything, worked every weekend to pay my own way.
Yeah, I remember pulling up the website and thinking I had finally found a place where, but what can we do?
Tewks looks like he has an idea.
What?
Nothing. It's just that we can do whatever we want. That's what they keep telling us, right?
Yeah.
Any activities we want, including the ones McCloskey and Peavy are supposed to be leading.
I'm not following.
Look, as hard as it is to believe, we're the two toughest people at this camp, and we came here to actually learn about masculinity, right? Well, my dad always says the best way to master something is to teach it to someone else.
You want us to run the camp, but like for real.
The way we thought it was going to be. The way it should be.
Even if we wanted to do that, how would we get anyone to listen to us? Mikey would never give up the spotlight, and Darnell has barely said one word to me. Us to us. This is supposed to be like their refuge or whatever.
It's just a matter of having the right pitch. Look, I bet they both get a lot of crap at school and from their families. Why else would they want to come here so badly? We could teach them to pass for macho, get their parents and classmates off their backs.
That isn't a completely terrible idea, actually. We'd basically be doing them a favor, and we'd get the camp experience we really wanted. It's kind of genius.
So you're in?
I guess I am.
They shake hands as the lights come up on Darnell and Mikey.
Logan Lee. He's the only other out guy at my school. Popular, gorgeous, track star.
So the total opposite of you.
Pretty much. And yes, at first I may have had a teeny tiny crush on him, but mostly because he was literally the only other option in a 20-mile radius. And also because of the way his thighs look in those microscopic running shorts. He's got amazing quads. Anyway, I hunted him down between classes one day to politely ask him if he'd like to help me start a gay-straight alliance, since he is literally the other 50% of the gay side of that equation.
I can already tell this isn't going to end well.
And while we're on the topic, I work very hard to improve that school, to inject a little culture and social consciousness, and all I get is mocked and slammed into lockers. But he is held up as hero because he somehow manages the apparently impossible feat of running in a circle while simultaneously being attracted to men.
Now that it's out of your system, what happened?
Right. So I find him at his locker and I make my pitch, and what does he do? He totally blows me off. I mean, he didn't even say, no thanks, or get away from me. He literally just walked by me like I didn't exist. Like I was that homicidal Invisible Girl in season 1, episode 11 of Buffy. It was mortifying.
Oh, what a jerk.
Yeah, and it gets worse. Then, the next week, Francesca, my friend from show choir, tells me she was at a party over the weekend. I had rehearsal that night, or I totally would have been there myself. And she had overheard Logan talking to some of his track buddies about how I was such a freak, always prancing around the halls like a stereotype, giving normal gay guys like him a bad name. And that's when I knew.
Knew what?
That no one would ever want me. Like this, the way that I am.
That's not true at all.
Tewks and Joe approach their table.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but Joe and I have a proposition for you.
Come on, we'll tell you about it on the way back to the cabin.
Actually, we were in the middle
fine.
of something.
We're right behind you.
Tewks and Joe exit. Mikey stands. Darnell stays seated.
Whatever they're up to, I don't think it's going to be good for you.
How could things be worse than they are now? I don't want to be alone forever.
You're not alone!
Guys, wait up!
Mikey exits while Darnell reluctantly picks up both of their trays, puts them back, and follows. Scene 4. We're back at the campfire area. Mikey and Darnell are in the same seats as in the top of the show, but this time McCloskey, in a fabulous caftan, and Peavy are seated on the other log.
I don't know about this.
Relax. Don't you want your dad off your back?
Yeah, but not like this.
It'll be a good thing. Okay, we'll get through high school alive and then we're home free.
That's right, because the world's just falling over itself to embrace middle-aged femmes, baby.
Things are a lot better now than when we were growing up.
And that's a tremendously low bar to flounce over.
It's only pretend. Just give it a shot for me. Please.
Fine, but the second they try to get me
Tewks and Joe enter, dressed vaguely like lumberjacks. They climb onto the platform with the forced pep of motivational speakers.
Good morning, campers.
Mikey enthusiastically reciprocates the greeting, while Darnell, McCloskey, and Peavy mumble non-committally.
Welcome to our first class of this session. What this group lacks in numbers, I'm sure you'll make up for with enthusiasm. Joe and I have put together a very dynamic program that we think you're really going to enjoy.
Think again, sweetheart.
We're going to ease you in with something simple. Talking.
Fabulous. Elocution is my best subject. I've got this one in the bag.
Something tells me that proper diction isn't on the syllabus.
Not just talking, mind you, but talking like a man.
Darnell raises his hand.
Oh, a question already. I'm loving the enthusiasm. Yes, Darnell?
If I'm a man and I speak, aren't I automatically speaking like a man?
Technically, but we're going to teach you how to speak like a...
I swear to God, if this tweaked out little Twinkie says real man one more freaking time, I'm gonna lose it.
Real man!
That's it. I'm done. Pardon my French, but some of those self-hating, self-destructive caca, I know. I would know. I've lived through it already. You kids are free to do what you want, but there's no closet deep enough for this queen to sashay back into, babies.
I appreciate your concern, Mr. McCloskey, but just because we're gay doesn't mean we have to act like stereotypes. Times are changing fast.
Oh, child, you're so lucky you're a minor. Harry, let's go.
McCloskey and Peavy start to exit.
Are you two coming?
Sorry, but this is what I want.
And I go where he goes.
Fine. Have it your way, but don't forget why you love it here so much.
McCloskey exits in a huff, with Peavy right behind.
Okay, now, where were we? Oh, right. Lesson 1. Joe, if you do the honors, please.
Mikey pulls out a journal and a pink fuzzy pen, concentrating with an intensity that's unnerving. Darnell side-eyes him.
The number one rule of speaking with a masculine energy is to speak less, but say more. The strong but silent type is a thing for a reason. Don't ramble on and on. And when you do say something, say it assertively and with confidence. Any questions?
No, that seems pretty straightforward. And speaking of the trope of the reticent male, no.
Good. Now, who can guess rule number 2? Anyone? How about you, Darnell?
Me? Well, I think,
Do you think, or do you know?
well, right now, I think that when you'll tell me whether I'm right or wrong, and then I'll know.
Incorrect! That's lesson number 2. Being masculine means knowing exactly what to do at all times. Copping to a mistake or any uncertainty whatsoever will lead others to devalue your opinion.
But what if you genuinely don't know the right answer?
Then fake it. Don't admit it, just move on. If someone is trying to outmail you, just talk louder and with more confidence.
Outmail me? Seriously, I'm sorry, but what makes either of you an expert on how I should behave?
Well, I've done a lot of Googling.
Did you seriously just write down the word Google?
It doesn't matter where the knowledge comes from, it just matters that it soaks in, okay?
Yeah, Dee, please don't ruin this for me.
Okay, we can come back to speaking later. How about walking?
Oh, perfect. I've spent years cultivating a signature strut.
How about you go ahead and take off your shoes?
Mikey eagerly starts to undo his laces.
Maybe you should leave on your side.
Mikey pulls off his socks, revealing gloriously painted toenails.
Is that nail polish?
It's a pre-camp ritual. This is called Turn on the Northern Lights. I wanted to stick with the nature theme. You like?
Don't you think it's a little much? Painted toenails is kind of weird on a guy.
I mean, it's kind of odd that any human being paints the horn-like tips of their appendages, right? I don't think Mikey's Y chromosome makes it any stranger.
Thanks, Dee, I think. But it's fine. I'll just keep my socks on.
All week?
I said it's fine.
No, it's not. This is insane. I'm out of here.
I told you. We're just pretending.
Are you sure about that?
Darnell storms off. Mikey continues to put on his socks.
Now, where were we?
Are you sure you want to?
Look, meaning what I say is important. Remember? Now, show me how to not strut.
Joe and Tewks begin to wordlessly show Mikey how to walk like a man while the lights fade. Scene 5. Peavy is sitting alone in the empty mess hall, painting at an easel. Eventually, Darnell enters, but neither notices the other for a few moments. When they do, it's awkward.
Oh, hey. Hi. Sorry, Counselor Peavy. I didn't see you there.
It happens. Are you looking for someone in particular?
The opposite, actually. Just looking for some alone time, I guess.
Where's Mikey?
At one of his ridiculous masculinity lessons. Today, Tewks and Joe are attempting to teach him how to throw a football.
There you go. You should have hours of uninterrupted time to yourself.
I can't believe he wants to even see them again after yesterday's disaster. The nerve of someone trying to tell Mikey how to talk?
What you and Mikey have is really special. You know that?
Well, we're just friends.
That's what's so special about it. I didn't have a single male friend growing up until I was in college. And then they were mostly special friends.
Really?
I used to stand outside of school in the morning waiting for the bell to ring with a group of girls, like 20 of them, and me. The guys in my class stood off in their own little circle, but they'd occasionally look over at me and laugh or point. They always looked like a pride of lions to me, and I felt like a wounded gazelle. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but I have a feeling you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, when I see you two together for this 1 week a year, it makes me so happy.
How did you get through it?
You're looking at me. When I was a kid, my parents would only let me watch PBS. I'd literally run home every day to watch my imaginary boyfriend, Bob Ross.
Who?
He was a painter. Big curly hair, very soothing voice. You'd know him if you saw him, and I was infatuated with him. He gave me quite a few happy accidents in my pants, if you know what I mean. So, oh, sorry. That was so inappropriate.
It's okay. I like that you talk to me like an adult.
Good. Because I've never been very good with kids. And I consider pretty much anyone under the age of 30 a kid.
Funny thing for a camp counselor to say.
Oh, this is Pat's dream, not mine. I'm just along for the ride. If it were up to me, I'd be in a secluded cabin somewhere in the mountains, painting all summer long.
No offense, but do you ever feel like you're just Mr. McCloskey's sidekick?
Only all the time.
And that doesn't bother you?
Not really. I guess I'd rather be cold here in his shadow than sweaty in the spotlight. Does it bother you?
That you're McCloskey's sidekick?
You know what I mean.
Sometimes, I guess. But I'm worried that if I say anything, he won't want to be my friend anymore, and that would be way worse.
And that, my boy, is what we call a conundrum.
A real quagmire.
No one ever asks me these things, but it's my gut feeling that a friend who would do that to you isn't necessarily a friend worth having in the first place.
That's easy for you to say. McCloskey is contractually obligated to be your friend.
Hey, can you tell me more about sidekicks?
Like a specific sidekick or?
No, just like how they work in your comic books.
Sidekicks can be cool. Sometimes even cooler than the main hero. I mean, Wally West is an indisputable badass, but by definition, they're peripheral.
Oh. And they never get as much screen time as their partners?
Only if they leave them behind. Dick Grayson could only become Nightwing after being dismissed by Batman.
Dismissed? Like fired?
He wanted to be more than an assistant, to be the protagonist. I get that you don't want to be center stage, but that doesn't mean you don't get to write your own story.
You have quite a way with words, Darnell.
Well, us indoor recess kids have a lot of time to read and think.
And paint.
Thanks for the talk, Counselor Peavy. I guess I've got a lot to think about.
You and me both, kid.
Darnell gets up to leave, turning back to give Peavy a quick hug before he does. As he exits, Peavy tries to return to his painting, but can't. He puts down his paints and exits as well. Scene 6. Lights up on Tewks and Joe, ecstatically leading a less enthusiastic group consisting of Mikey, Peavy, and McCloskey in full drag through the woods.
It's a perfect day for a hike.
Smell that fresh air and sunshine.
Oh, can't smell sunshine unless you're having a stroke, babies. Which D might actually be...
Darnell enters, stumbling, clutching a comic book to his chest, and hyperventilating into a brown paper bag.
Are we almost there yet?
There is no there. We're on a hike. The most important part of is the journey, not the destination. We're communing with nature.
Your face is about to be communing with one of my Louboutins.
Maybe we should take a break.
Seconded.
Absolutely. My feet are killing me.
He sits on a log and slips off his shoes, rubbing his feet.
I did tell you to wear sensible shoes.
I am. Trust me. No one wears kitten heels for fashion.
You could have at least have left the caftan back in your bunk. The chafing.
Oh. I resent the implication that my immaculate thighs would ever deign to touch one another.
D, why don't you sit for a sec?
Darnell looks around at the logs and dirt and shakes his head.
I can't believe in all the years you've been here, you've never hiked this trail.
I guess I always figured the best way to avoid dying in the woods is by never, ever going anywhere near the woods in the first place.
Don't be so dramatic.
Oh my God. I think that's the first time that comment has been made in my presence and not directed at me.
You've been a great sport, comparatively.
You do know we've been traveling in circles, oh Captain, my Captain.
No, we haven't. I know exactly where we are.
So do I, because we've been here before!
What are you talking about?
No offense, D, but you're not exactly an expert in wilderness anything.
Maybe not, but I spent the past 2 hours staring at my feet, trying to avoid making any eye contact with any trees, which is how I know we've walked past the same R2-D2 shaped rock 3 times already.
What's the matter, Tewks? Is your inner Swiss Army knife getting rusty?
Will you please be quiet?
Excuse me?
Can't you just let the kids work this out on their own?
Oh, their welfare is my responsibility.
Oh, please! It's not concern for their welfare that has your tuck in a bunch. The fact that you are for once not the absolute center of attention is driving you crazy.
Ooh, yikes.
I hate it when Mom and other Mom fight.
Shut up. Hey, guys, is everything okay?
Do you really think that this is the right place and the right time for airing of grievances?
Let me guess. There's never a good time for me to question your behavior.
What in the world has gotten into you?
You
Today.
drag me up here every year.
Drag you?
And I say nothing. Because I don't want to rock the boat. But you're acting like a bully. And I'm not.
I'm acting like a bully? You know this kid. You were tormented by this kid. You barely survived this kid.
Excuse me?
The kid who told you you weren't caveman enough. So you weren't good enough, as if masculinity were something to aspire to, like the root cause of practically every rape war. And the other terrible event in history wasn't some man trying to prove his manliness to some other meathead.
But there are different kinds of masculinity, right?
Look, you seem like a really nice person, but I'm definitely not going to be lectured by the likes of you.
Hey. Don't talk to Joe like that.
See what I mean? No one's allowed to have a different opinion or even an original thought without you pouncing on them.
It's my camp and I make the rules. If you don't like them, you're welcome to leave.
Fine, maybe I will.
Peavy starts to exit, but stops when McCloskey clears his throat.
What? What?
Wrong way. We're supposed to be moving toward the cliff now.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He heads back across the stage in the other direction.
And where do you think you're going?
Somewhere you're not.
Someone's obviously been spending too much time with the children lately.
Hello? That's the literal point of this place, a refuge for children, not your Barbie dream house where you can order everyone around.
Do you realize you're an employee, not a prisoner? You can walk away at any time.
And go where exactly? We live together.
Well, you can walk from that too, if it's no longer serving you.
Whoa. That's everybody. Calm.
Yeah, maybe this has all gone a little too far.
This has been a long time coming, boys. Now, if you'll give me the keys to the Jetta, I'll be out of what's left of your natural hair.
These keys? Hell no. Marlena stays with me. You can walk back to civilization. Make sure Tweaks packs, doesn't forget to pack some beef jerky.
Peavy, enraged, lunges at McCloskey, who dodges and beats him over the head with his purse. The two begin a slapstick cat and mouse sequence, with the campers worriedly looking on.
Hey, maybe we can move this away from the edge of the...
Yeah, even I recognize this isn't safe.
After some highly comical pseudo-wrestling, Peavy is panting, right on the edge of the cliff, holding the keys aloft like a prize.
Who's in the driver's seat now, Miss Daisy?
McCloskey lets out a bellow of rage and runs at Peavy, tackling them both right off the edge. The sound of them yelling, rolling down the ravine, and finally landing can be heard. In the aftermath, there is only a moment of stunned silence before the campers, minus Tewks, run to the edge.
Oh my goddess.
Councilor Peavy! Cheesecakes!
Are they moving?
No, but I can see their chests going up and down, so they're breathing.
What do we do?
We've got to go down there and get them.
Even if we could get down there, there's no way we can get them back up here.
It's true. I have the upper body strength of a sickly Dickensian Muppet.
Well, we've got to do something.
They all look at Tewks.
Any suggestions, fearless leader?
You can't. This is not my fault.
Super helpful, thank you.
Hey, I know you're upset, but turning on each other isn't going to solve anything.
Darnell opens his mouth to say something, but sets his jaw instead.
Okay. We are clearly wildly out of our depth here. I think we need to head back to camp and get some help.
What part of Lost in the Woods don't you understand?
Okay, then what exactly do you suggest?
I think if we just try going back the way we came, we'll eventually have to make our way back to camp, right?
They all look at Joe.
It's the only plan we've got. Let's go.
Go ahead, we'll follow you.
Joe exits, with Mikey and Darnell following behind. Tewks takes a moment and makes his way over to the edge of the ravine. Looks over.
We'll be right back. I promise.
Tewks runs after the others, exiting. There are a few moments of empty stage, after which Mikey re-enters.
He said, we'll be right back.
Blackout. Intermission. Pickleball paddles are available in the lobby. We will now take a 5-minute intermission. Scene 7. We're back at camp. Joe, Mikey, Darnell, and Tewks, who's being uncharacteristically quiet, emerge from the woods, clearly worse for wear.
We made it, finally.
Never been so happy to see this place.
I would go get down on my hands and knees in the dirt and kiss the ground if it weren't the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
So, what do we do now?
We need to call for help.
With what?
Should we tell the other campers first?
That's a definite no.
Why not?
Okay, you see how well we're taking this? How do you think an entire camp of people whose default setting is melodrama is going to handle the news?
Fair. It would be like a stampede of distraught flamingos. But we've got to do something. Where do McCloskey and Peavy keep our phones?
In the main office, I'd assume.
Okay, I'll go check. Tewks, you want to come with me?
Yeah, sure.
Tewks and Joe exit.
He's taking this well.
You're not exactly helping with that.
He's the reason we're in this situation. Forgive me if I don't have any room in my heart for both our beloved broken and bruised counselors and the delicate feelings of the guy whose fault it is.
You can hardly pin this whole thing squarely on him. We both know that Cheesecakes is as unstable as a white woman with an asymmetrical bob at a customer service desk when she's got her feet crammed into anything shorter than a stiletto.
The only two grown men in the world who have ever shown you any ounce of kindness are lying unconscious at the bottom of a ditch because that overcompensating fool had something to prove and you're defending him?
I'm not defending him. I just don't think it's totally fair.
He's ruining everything. It makes me sick watching you change yourself for some guy. But that's not the Mikey I know, and I'm not sure I want to be friends with this new one.
Darnell crosses his arms. Mikey, in return, looks like he's been slapped in the face. Tewks and Joe enter, carrying a small lockbox.
We found them!
Technically, we found this, which we assume has them inside it. I don't suppose they told either of you the passcode?
Not so much. After our first summer, they knew D would be so technologically deprived that he'd tear anything less secure apart with his teeth to get to one of his phones.
Any chance they're the kind of people who leave passwords written down on Post-its?
Right, because their simple lady brains couldn't possibly hold 6 whole numbers at a time.
This isn't helping, guys. Come on, think. What would McCloskey use as a passcode?
Does anyone know his birthday?
You think he'd let us know his real age?
How about Peavy's?
There's silence and a round of head shakes.
I guess we've never asked him when his birthday is.
God, we suck.
How about Judy Garland's birthday?
So we're having a technical issue. Thomas, we can't, your image is frozen. Can you try to reconnect? Okay. All right, we're pausing, everybody. Let me see if I can get, oh, here he is. Very good. Okay, Thomas, can you hear us?
Yes, terribly sorry about that.
Oh, no. We go back. All right, Alex, we'll, let's see, we will go back to, I guess we never asked when his birthday is, whenever you're ready.
I guess we never asked him when his birthday is.
God, we suck.
How about Judy Garland's birthday?
Who actually has Judy Garland's birthday?
1022.
Okay, but would he really do something that cliche?
Bingo.
I don't know why I'm surprised by anything anymore.
Are there phones in there?
No, there is another smaller safe.
You've got to be kidding me.
He would have known we'd go right for the juice. Ever a worthy adversary, McCloskey?
Any other guesses?
I wouldn't even know where to begin. We really didn't know them outside of camp, and they went out of their way to make our time here all about us.
We can't waste time taking shots in the dark. They're out there bleeding out as we speak.
Then what do?
Are there any tools at this camp? I'm going to preemptively rephrase that. Is there like a crowbar somewhere?
Maybe in the props and scenery shed? I'll check.
Mikey exits.
I'll see if I can find anything in the kitchen.
Darnell exits in the opposite direction.
So this is wild, huh?
What? Oh, yeah. I mean, I never really pictured myself on stage.
No, that was my next line. In the script?
Right. Sorry. It's just a lot to keep straight, you know?
I tried to talk him into a staged reading rather than a full production.
As if he'd ever let us get away with something amateurish like that.
Mikey sticks his head out from one of the wings.
Hi, excuse me, but when did I say it was okay to break character in the middle of a pivotal scene?
How can we break character when we're playing ourselves?
Correction. You're playing charismatic, charming versions of yourself, which I understand is a huge stretch for both of you. But how about you give it your best try, huh?
Mikey pops his head back off stage.
I'm calling equity when we're done here.
As if they'd take your call.
So, this is wild, huh?
Yeah, but if you create an elderly drag persona, you've got to be prepared for the occasional I've fallen and I can't get up moment. This isn't your fault, right? Not all your fault, I mean.
That's not how it feels.
McCloskey and Peavy are full-grown adult men who just happen to sometimes dress up like full-grown adult women.
But they wouldn't have even been in the woods or fighting if it weren't for me.
I'm pretty sure that little tiff was going to happen whether you were here or not.
Still, I can't help feeling like we've ruined everything for everyone. McCloskey and Peavy are lying at the bottom of a ditch. Darnell looks like he would punch me in the face if he knew how to punch somebody in the face. And Mikey, all I ever wanted was for him to like me.
Okay, yes, things are not great, but everything we've done with the best of intentions. Besides, pointing fingers doesn't do anything to get that poor cross-dresser and his partner out of that ravine.
Are you trying to convince me or yourself?
Doesn't matter.
You know, Dee is being a lot more understanding with you than he is with me.
Is he? I hadn't noticed.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, he's harder on you because you're a dude and he hasn't had the best experiences with other men. Isn't that right, Mr. Hunt?
What about you?
Who knows what I am?
Before Tewks can answer, Darnell, carrying a plastic spatula, and Mikey, with a metal curtain rod, enter from opposite directions.
Will this work?
Yeah, if we need to saute it or festoon it with drapes.
Okay, then what do you suggest?
Well, even if we get to the cell phones, there's no guarantee we'll actually get service out here, right? So why don't we try something a little less high-tech?
Smoke signals?
Tin cans tied together with string.
The ham radio! I thought I saw one under the bedazzler in the office. You're a genius!
Tewks runs off and re-enters quickly with the radio.
It looks like it still works.
Here, let me.
Mikey grabs it and holds up the receiver and is about to speak, but suddenly lowers it.
Wait. I need a fabulous call sign.
Seriously?
I haven't spent years developing a unique and recognizable brand just to drop it now.
They could be bleeding out right now.
Okay. You don't have to go all dingo ate my baby on me. Hello? Anyone? This is Unicorn Wrangler at Camp Manuppia. Anyone, Roger? Over? Oh, this is fun. It's very truck stop chic.
Try again.
I repeat, Unicorn Wrangler to anyone. Unicorn Wrangler to literally anyone. Please come in. We have a medical emergency and need immediate assistance at Camp Manuppia. Over.
They all pause to listen. Suddenly, the faint sound of a woman's voice can be heard under the static.
Hello? Hello? Come in. We need help. Please.
Emergency! Emergency!
Yes, we have an emergency at Camp Manuppia. Please send an ambulance.
This is an emergency broadcast. The campers are crestfallen as they realize it's a recording.
Get in line, sister.
This sounds important.
This is an emergency broadcast. This is an update to a previous broadcast. Those within listening radius should be aware that 2 prisoners have escaped the Machismo Mountain Penitentiary. The 2 fugitives were last seen headed on foot in the direction of Lake Testosterona. If spotted, civilians are being asked to call the police immediately and lay low. Both men are considered extremely dangerous. There's more static as the broadcast begins to fade out completely.
Well, that's just perfect.
This can't be real, can it?
Does one of them have a hook for a hand? Are they on their way to Lover's Lane?
Guys, this is serious. I mean, you heard the lady. They're heading right for us.
Wait, this could be a good thing.
You couldn't have lost the will to live before taking us on that ridiculous hike.
Yes, they're headed this way, but according to the message, the police know what direction they're moving in.
So if they follow them here, they can catch the bad guys and rescue McCloskey and Peavy. Good thinking, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Except for the part where the cops are too late and all they find is my strikingly elegant, even in death corpse.
She said to just stay low. If we get everyone to keep quiet and hide, we should be safe.
But how do we keep a whole camp of Scream Queens calm and quiet for that long?
If only we had an obnoxiously loud siren that would render them instantly docile.
Brilliant. Pavlov is doing body rolls in his grave right now.
But won't sounding an alarm draw those creeps right to us?
Maybe, but they're coming right for us anyway. What they won't be expecting is for us to be ready for them.
Ready for them? Ho, slow down, Sylvester Von Damme. What are we gonna do to defend ourselves with, like, dry wit and impeccably timed combative taunts?
I actually have a few ideas that might work.
Really?
Well, if there's one thing I excel at, it's confusing and unnerving straight men.
Okay, but someone still needs to warn the campers and sound the alarm.
Then we'll have to split up.
Oh, have none of you ever even glanced at a scary movie? Take it from the person who always dies first. This is not going to end well.
What other choice do we have? We can't do both at the same time if we all stick together. Okay, then it's settled. Dee, do you want to go with Mikey while I...
No, nope. I mean, I think you and I should take care of the alarm.
But that means I'm with Mikey.
Try not to sound too excited.
Hey, the only way this has any chance of working is if we put aside our baggage and work together, okay?
Tewks, Darnell, and Mikey mutter their reluctant agreement.
Good. Now stay safe and...
Don't fuck it up. Yeah, we got it.
All four exchange a long, semi-reassuring look before exiting in opposite directions. Scene 8. Convict 1, played by McCloskey, and Convict 2, played by Peavy, enter, sneaking around. They are clearly trying very hard and mostly failing to erase all femininity from their mannerisms. They still wear their slings and bandages, but now don the orange jumpsuits and slip-on shoes of newly escaped prisoners. When they speak, it is with terrible and terribly inconsistent accents that they believe approximate tough guys.
Quiet.
I am being quiet. Besides, there's no one around to hear us. Finally, some freaking peace and quiet. And fresh air, sunshine.
Shh. It could come back any minute.
They're kids at a masculinity camp. What are they gonna do? Make us over to death?
We don't even know what a masculinity camp is.
It's pretty obviously a place for pansies.
Is it obvious though? Think about it for a minute. What kind of kids get sent to fat camp?
Fat ones.
Right. And the band camp?
Band geeks.
And correct. And theater camp is?
Gay guys and the girls who are doomed to pine after them forever?
Precisely. Stage managers. So maybe a masculinity camp is where you place some kids who are already masculine.
Oh, huh. But why would anybody send their sons away for being too masculine? Wouldn't that be like sending them to stupid camp because they're too smart?
Who knows? We've been away for a long time.
The world's an awfully scary place for men these days.
They share a moment of contemplative silence, heads bowed.
Okay, but why does it matter what kind of camp it is anyways? Why not go around it?
Because we've been running through the woods all day with no food or water. And we can't keep going like this forever. Besides, we don't exactly blend in wearing these outfits. We need a place to, camp out for the night and plan our next move.
Mikey and Tewks enter, crossing the stage with purpose. The convicts dive behind a nearby bush.
Can you tell me where we're going at least?
The arts and crafts cabin, if you must know.
You've got to be kidding me.
I never joke about DIY. And why is it that everything that falls outside of the realm of the conventionally rugged is laughable to you?
Definitely not a camp for the too manly.
What are you gonna do, throw glitter in their eyes?
I'll have you know I'm basically a sniper with a glue gun. And need I remind you that we tried doing things your way. And look how well that turned out.
Mikey and Tewks exit. Once the coast is clear, the convicts reemerge from behind the bush.
Well, this is going to be even easier than we thought.
Like shooting really flamboyant fish in a barrel.
A flamboyant fish?
Oh, you know, like a koi or a whatchamacallit, betta fish.
Well, aren't beta fish like super aggressive?
Well, forget the metaphor, okay? I'm just saying that I don't think they're gonna be putting up much of a fight.
Darnell and Joe enter, making their way across the stage. The convicts hurry back behind the bush.
All I'm saying is that maybe you're being a little hard on Mikey.
Hard on Mikey. You have no idea what it's been like the past few years, following him around like a sad puppy, only to have him turn his back on everything he claimed to believe in when some guy with perfectly symmetrical features shows up.
It's okay to be jealous.
I'm not jealous. I'm pissed off.
You know, you don't have to feel sexually attracted to someone to feel abandoned by them, right?
Some paragon of masculinity you are, trying to get me to talk about my feelings. Thanks, by the way.
For what?
You really kept your cool back there. I mean, if it weren't for you, the three of us would probably still be bickering in the woods.
Oh, no worries. I mean, I just did what I could.
I guess you really are the best man here.
I don't know if it's man versus woman thing.
Oh yeah, I just meant, you know.
No,
like,
I got it. It's fine.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You're obviously not a man.
I said it's fine. We should get going. We have a job to do.
Yeah, sure, of course. You go ahead. I'll just bring up the rear.
Darnell follows Joe out. The convicts reemerge.
What the hell kind of place is this?
World really have changed that much while we weren't paying attention?
Yeah, we can hardly be blamed for the deterioration of society. We were in prison.
Right. Of course. I mean, this is what happens when you remove traditional male role models from the equation, you know?
What should we do first?
Let's head for the showers. I've been craving a bathing experience without the threat of a shanking for years.
They exit. Scene 9. Darnell, Joe, and Tewks enter and begin setting up the two sides of the stage. One looks vaguely like the arts and crafts cabin, and the other approximates the inside of the main office. As they work, Mikey makes his way to the front of the stage and addresses the audience directly.
For those of you not in the know, which I assume is all of you, the theatrical device you're about to see is known as cross-cutting. It's a technique in which two scenes are intercut to establish continuity. If you've been paying attention, you already witnessed a simplistic variation of this in scene 3. The mess hall scene, you know, where two conversations were taking place simultaneously. That's okay. I wasn't expecting you to be picking up on nuance. Anyway, for this scene, we're doing a full crosscut. At this point in our tale, Tewks and I were in the arts and crafts cabin while Dee and Joe searched the main office for the alarm. Because I don't expect any of you civilians to understand this, and not as a way to boast about my own accomplishments, I wanted to let you know that cross-cutting is a difficult element to pull off, and doing so requires a high degree of directorial precision. And given the barbaric conditions in which we find ourselves, the fact that we would even attempt such a daring, dramatic device is worthy of admiration in and of itself. Just thought you should know. Okay, now back to the show.
Mikey joins Tewks in the arts and crafts cabin.
Here, paint this.
He hands Tewks a balsa wood cutout of a lobster.
Okay.
He reaches for the red paint, but Mikey smacks his hand away. He hands him a can of yellow paint instead.
Who's ever seen a yellow lobster?
That's the point.
What are you going to do while I paint?
I've got some speed crocheting to do.
He pulls out a crochet hook and a ball of yarn and gets to work.
I'm really sorry, you know?
For what?
For what happened to McCloskey and Peavy. They're going to be all right. I promise.
Is that all you're sorry for?
I think so. Yeah.
What about your ridiculous attempt to turn us into alpha males?
As I recall, you were an enthusiastic participant in that undertaking.
Only because I was trying to impress you.
They seem equally surprised by this confession.
You were trying to impress me?
Yes, as tragic as that is to admit. And it may have cost me my best friend.
Why would you think pretending to want to be more masculine would impress me?
Dee told me what you said, that I wasn't your type. Just too faggy, I guess.
I never!
I'm so sick of you mask for mask, no fats or femmes, self-hating queens, getting to dictate who's worthy of love and attraction and basic human decency. We're supposed to be a community where being different doesn't get your head flushed down a toilet.
Wait, slow down! I'm not that way! I can't believe Darnell told you I was!
Yeah, well, Dee's my best friend. He tells me everything.
That's not what I meant! I swear I never said it!
But Dee said...
That's what he said to you. Are you interested in hearing what actually happened?
Mikey steps up out of the scene and speaks directly to the audience as Tewks and Darnell set up a table and 2 chairs.
All right, so what's happening here is a flashback sequence within a cross-cut scene, which, well, paging all drama desk voters, if you know what I mean.
Mikey steps back. Tewks and Darnell are sitting at the table in the same way as they were at the top of scene 3.
So what's Mikey's deal exactly?
You're going to have to be way, way more specific.
I mean, what's he doing at a place like this?
Mostly trying to get the rest of us to do ridiculous acting exercises. Look, he's here for the same reason we all are. His parents wanted a big, tough son, but they got a Mikey instead.
Right, of course. He just seems so comfortable in his own skin. So is he, like, single? Or whatever?
For the 100th time, we're not dating, if that's what you mean.
No, yeah, you made that super clear. But there's no one else?
Honestly, it's never really come up.
Really? Well, this seems like the perfect place for an off-puttingly earnest summer romance. What?
Are you interested in him in that way?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he's super awkward, but kind of in a not totally unendearing way.
I can't believe this.
What?
Nothing. He just doesn't seem like your type.
You met me like 3 hours ago.
Fair enough, but McCloskey and Peavy discourage fraternization.
The same McCloskey and Peavy who are domestic partners?
The rule only applies to campers. Too much risk of things getting messy. Then someone goes home all mopey and the parents want to know what happened and one thing leads to another. And our whole cover is blown.
Oh, I guess that makes a certain kind of sense.
That's why Mikey and I work so well together. No weird romantic tension between us.
Uh-huh.
Besides, you're not really the kind of guy Mikey tends to go for.
Is that so?
Oh yeah, he's all about the jocks and meatheads these days. The dumber the better.
Are you sure we're talking about the same Mikey?
What can I say? Opposites attract. He's a Neanderthal loving Nelly.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend wasting your time on Mikey. It's probably better for the sake of the camp cohesion anyway.
Tewks picks up his tray and starts to walk away.
Thanks for the advice. Unfortunately for Camp Manuppia, I love a challenge.
Tewks ditches the tray and heads back to join Mikey. Darnell starts to clear the table away, but stops as Tewks rejoins Mikey.
I really am sorry, you guys.
Save it for the denouement, sweetie.
Darnell nods, removes the table, and rejoins Joe. Mikey and Tewks return to their previous conversation.
No way. Dee would never do that.
He did. I didn't come here wanting to order people around like some drill sergeant. The only person I've ever wanted to change was me.
What exactly about yourself do you want to change so badly?
If I tell you something, do you promise to keep it a secret?
I mean, that kind of depends. Are you about to reveal the location of a dead body?
Nothing like that. Do you know what I'd be doing right now if I weren't here?
The lights go down on their side of the stage and up on Joe and Darnell in the main office, searching for the alarm.
It's gotta be around here somewhere. Why would you hide something that's only used during emergencies?
One year, the film gays stole it to practice their queer reimagining of the Pearl Harbor movie for the end of the summer talent show. It was chaos. Oh. Yeah, I know this place is ridiculous.
And yet, the longer I'm here, the more I love it.
The Stockholm Syndrome is strong with this one.
No, it's just that I admire people who aren't afraid to be who they really are.
Joe jumps up, holding the alarm system above their head.
Got it. You want to do the honors?
Finders keepers, go ahead.
Joe triggers the alarm. The convicts run across the stage with their hands over their ears. They are unseen by the rest of the characters.
What the hell is that?
Is it the cops?
I don't see any. Those little brats must be warning their friends. What kind of summer camp has an alarm system?
Did they even stop to think how upsetting this would be to the recently incarcerated?
The convicts exit. The sound of the alarm fades. Joe and Darnell sit on the floor of the main office.
So what now?
He said to stay put and wait for them to finish whatever it is they're doing.
Assuming they don't tear each other to pieces before they finish.
You're being awfully flippant about a situation that I'm pretty sure you had a big hand in creating.
Excuse me? They're very nearly adults. They're responsible for their own actions.
So you're saying you didn't nudge them in that direction at all? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like you're mad at Mikey for both suffocating you and for daring to try and make a new friend.
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds a little codependent.
I'm no expert on normal human relationships, but doesn't it seem like broadening your friend circle actually solves both your problems?
But what if he likes Tewks more and forgets all about me? Too much Mikey is better than none at all. What?
That just seemed like the perfect time for one of your "we're just friends, I swear" moments. Have you considered that you could be pals with Tewks too? Mikey isn't the only potential friend in the world.
True. Although that ship may have sailed.
You never know until you try. And by the way, there are other people at this camp besides Tewks who would like to get to know you better.
Joe knocks Darnell in the shoulder while he blushes. The lights go down on their side of the stage and up on Mikey and Tewks.
So I have this live journal.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. Go on.
It's actually pretty popular. I've got a decent following.
How dare they let anyone into this camp who's more famous than me? What kind of blog is it?
Well, that's the thing. It's about candles.
Candles.
And wax melts and body care. Basically anything collectible with a fragrance.
Please tell me this isn't a joke.
It's not. It's called something wick-id. You know, with a hyphen.
Oh my God. A home fragrance blog and a classical theater pun? Why do I suddenly feel like you're living my best life? So So you just write about candles.
There's all kinds of content. Unboxing write-ups and candle and wax hauls.
Hauling wax, huh?
And then first impressions based on cold sniff.
Okay, I can't believe you poo-pooed arts and crafts, but use the term cold sniff like it's no biggie.
And then I review them once they've been burned or melted. The scent notes can change once the heat hits it, and people want to know about things like strength and throw.
Obviously.
And it just started as this thing I did alone in my bedroom. I didn't expect anyone to take it seriously. But then I discovered that there's this whole candle community out there, and before you knew it, I had over 1,000 followers and tons of comments. I'm kind of a big deal among suburban divorcees of a certain age.
AKA the best demographic on Earth.
And everyone was so nice and welcoming, and it felt like I belonged somewhere. Say what you will, but it makes me happy.
Then why change?
Someone at school stumbled on my site, and I was dumb enough to use my real name.
Uh-oh.
They printed pages and started handing them out around school.
Oh, the Regina George. Diabolical.
And I have a brother. He's older, star athlete, straight A student, Eagle Scout, the whole nine.
Got it. And when no one's looking, Mr. Popular likes to kick the crap out of his scent-loving note brother.
What? No, Percy's the best. He likes and comments on every one of my posts, even though he's in college now and is super busy with his actual life.
Okay. So the pressure is coming from your parents. They want you to be just like him.
Nope. I mean, they still don't know about the live journal. Percy said he'd never tell, and my parents barely know how to turn their computer on. But I really don't think they'd care. In fact, they'd probably want to be featured.
Then I don't get who's forcing you to be somebody you're not.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. No one is. But Percy, he's the greatest. The way people look up to him and the way he looks at other people and makes them feel seen. I just figured if I could be more like him in certain ways, then people would look at me like that instead of right through me or down on me.
Mikey puts down his crocheting and joins Tewks.
Being admired doesn't have a damn thing to do with being manly, whatever the hell that even means. You can be the kindest, bravest, most generous fragrance lover on the planet if you want to be. Besides, take it from me, needing to be seen by everyone all the time doesn't exactly endear you to everybody in the world.
Are you kidding? I'm like so in awe of the way you own who you are and how you make no apologies or compromises, regardless of how hard people push back. Effeminate men truly have the biggest balls of us all.
Look, you didn't need to come to a camp to learn to be somebody else. I mean, the way you've taken charge here, despite being the new guy, you're a natural leader. You just need to get out of your own head.
I guess it's just hard to tune out all the noise, huh?
Amen, sister.
Listen, from now on, let's do things your way. I have total faith in you. In fact, the way you've been asserting yourself lately has been kind of sexy.
Tewks leans in for a kiss, but Mikey dodges.
Nuh-uh. This is not that kind of play. If it had been a few days ago even, I would have eagerly accepted, but I think I've gained some perspective since then. How about we do this together? Partners?
But not like that kind of partners.
I think we're just about done here, but I don't think this is going to take care of them both.
Don't worry, I've got an idea. Come with me.
They exit as the lights come back up on Joe and Darnell.
What was it you were saying about people who are unafraid to be themselves? You don't strike me as someone who's living in fear.
Not fear, just confusion, I guess. I don't feel like I fit anywhere. I'm too butch for the girly girls, but too sensitive for the jocks.
And that's why you came here?
I was just hoping to find a kind of masculine that felt right to me, if that makes sense.
So you want to be a boy?
I don't think I want to be anything. I just want to like something and not have it mean everything, you know? I both don't want to be put into a box and I desperately want a name for what I am.
That makes sense.
Really? You're not just saying that? Because my dad, when I do things like change the tires on the car, he looks at me this way.
What way?
Like he just assembled a piece of furniture and there's a few screws left over and he's proud, but also worried that he's put it together wrong. And he's so nice. He drops his hints all the time about how he would be fine with it if I were attracted to girls, but because I think that he would understand better than me. I'm not, by the way, into girls. I mean, in case I hadn't made that clear.
They both blush a little.
Yeah, well, I totally mean it. I read a lot of these sci-fi comics, and sometimes I wish I could just like be a brain inside of a robot like MODOK instead of a human with a body, because everyone has so many expectations of you based on things you can't even control. That way, no one will just assume I'm magically good at basketball anymore.
Sometimes I think about what it would be like to just be a light floating around everywhere, like a will-o'-the-wisp.
Or Tinkerbell.
Yeah, that's it. You've uncovered my secret wish. I guess it's just like, what if I don't want to be a boy or a girl? Why isn't that allowed?
I think it is. If you say so. Like, screw waiting for permission from your family or the universe or whatever. You're the most incredible person I've ever met. None of the rest matters.
I think it does matter, though.
Not to me.
Wow. Listen to yourself, G.
Oh no, what did I say? What did I say?
Only good things. See, now this is the kind of masculinity the world actually needs.
Darnell looks caught off guard by the earnestness of the sentiment. After a moment, they lean into one another and share an adorable, quick kiss. They pull away immediately, both looking bashful. Mikey pokes his head out from offstage.
I guess it is that kind of play.
Mikey disappears again as Joe and Darnell smile awkwardly.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, same.
Mikey and Tewks enter, a little bit out of breath.
There you two are. Oh, are we interrupting something?
No, we were just waiting for you. What now?
We have a plan, but only if you're okay with it.
We're listening.
Okay, come with us. We'll tell you on the way.
They exit. Scene 10. The stage has once again been split in half. One side has the approximation of the entrance to the bathrooms. 2 doors, but instead of the typical man and woman signs, they've been replaced with the yellow lobster Tewks had been working on and an orange silhouette of a chair. On the other side is a suggestion of the inside of the mess hall with a buffet-style table with several covered dishes on it. Convict 1 and 2 enter and approach the bathrooms.
We made it.
What?
I said we made it.
Sorry, my ears are still ringing from that stupid alarm. Those kids must be half deaf.
Well, let's just hope their bathrooms are fully functioning.
He takes a step toward the bathroom doors and suddenly stops short.
What's wrong?
I don't know. Which one is the men's room?
Huh?
There aren't any little stick figures, like just this yellow lobster and orange chair.
Weird.
Right. Maybe it's some kind of code.
For a bathroom?
Wouldn't exactly be the strangest thing about this place. Help me out with this.
Okay, let's start with the yellow lobster.
Is yellow a boy color or a girl color?
I guess I never really thought about it.
What are some things you think about when you think of yellow?
The sun, butter, that Coldplay song that makes me wish that siren completely burst both my eardrums.
It's all pretty girly, but a lobster is like a sea insect with a tough shell. And catching them is definitely a man's work.
Okay. What about the chair? Is the chair manly?
It depends on whether it came pre-assembled or not.
This is so stupid. Why don't you just go in? And if they're urinals, you know you're in the right place.
But what if I picked the wrong one?
Who cares? There's nobody around.
I care. Entering the wrong bathroom is a terrible transgression.
Need I remind you of what you got locked away for in the first place?
Bathrooms are sacred.
Listen, I'm too hungry to solve some riddles with you. I'm gonna find the mess hall.
Go ahead. I'll catch up when I'm done. Save me a steak.
Convict 1 exits. Convict 2 turns back to the bathroom doors, clearly struggling inside. He approaches 1, seemingly confident, but stops short and retreats in frustration. While he's carrying on his internal debate, Joe enters, unseen, and throws the net Mikey was crocheting earlier over him, trapping him.
What the hell?
The more you struggle, the more tangled you're gonna get.
Is this yarn?
Mikey enters, twirling 2 comically large crochet needles like Psy.
Don't be mistaken by its smooth, glossy exterior. Silk is the strongest natural fiber known to man.
Convict 2 scoffs and tries to get out of the net, but can't. Angered, he tries to lunge at Joe, but his feet get tangled in the net and he face plants, the wind knocked out of him by the ground.
I tried to warn you. Mikey doesn't mess around when it comes to textiles. Seriously, nice work with the net and the diversion. Pretty badass.
Thank you. And I couldn't have done it without you. Literally, everyone knows my arms are only good for holding up t-shirts. And sorry about the way that I spoke to you when you first got here. When something's been used as a weapon against you your whole life, it's hard not to be a little wary of someone who's looking for more of it. But Dee seems to really like you, so you can't be that bad.
It's okay. I get it. I wasn't being too kind to myself when I first got here either. And sorry about that time I duct taped your wrists together to stop you from talking with your hands. That wasn't cool.
No worries. My future therapist will thank you for that experience.
They shake hands.
What do you say we meet up with the rest of the Scooby Squad?
Together, they get a still out of it Convict 2 to his feet, and Mikey pokes him with the crochet needles to get him to hop forward. They exit. On the opposite side of the stage, Convict 1 enters the mess hall and spots the buffet table.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm starving. Salad? Blech. Who eats salad at summer camp? Is that tofu? Ugh, what the hell? I can't. It can't be. An entire tray of high fiber yogurt?
He throws the lid he's still holding on the ground with a crash and proceeds to have a very childish tantrum.
I hate this place. Where's the steak? The burgers? The bacon? The fries?
Tewks emerges from under the table carrying a container.
Hey, how about you chow down on this?
Tewks throws the contents of the container on Convict 1, which turns out to be melted wax. In the play within a play, the campers can use a piece of cloth or something to approximate wax. Convict 1 is knocked off guard, trying to keep the wax out of his eyes and mouth.
What the hell is this crap?
As he staggers backward, Darnell pops out from under the table and, using the cords from the video game controllers, ties up Convict 1's feet, causing him to fall over. Once he's on the ground, Darnell begins to tie up his hands.
Crap! This is a very complex blend of herbal lavender and patchouli with a strength and throw of 8 out of 10, for God's sake! What?
Pause. Daniel, we can't hear you.
Nothing. I'm just relieved to know I'm not the nerdiest person here.
Let me go, you fairies!
I'll have you know, fairies are a very noble race of clever tricksters and can be very dangerous when provoked. Okay, maybe I'm still the nerdiest, but you're definitely one of us.
Joe and Mikey enter, leading Convict 2 in at needlepoint.
No one told me we were doing paraffin treatments.
Both Tewks and Darnell run to give Mikey a hug. There's a moment of awkwardness, but Darnell lets Tewks go first.
It worked. It all worked, just like you said.
Told you. Strength can come in a lot of different forms.
Darnell hugs Mikey next.
Dee, do you have something to say to Mikey and Tewks, maybe?
No.
You're not likely to find a more captive audience.
Okay, look, I'm really sorry about what I did. I was scared you two would become a thing and I'd be left alone. I'm alone 51 weeks a year and I didn't want to be alone.
Hey, it's okay. Mikey and I are just friends. We all are now. This is probably the most bonding anyone's ever done in less than a week of summer camp, right?
Wait, so you're not mad?
Oh, I'm still gonna make you pay for a while, but you'll always be my favorite platonic life partner.
Darnell wraps Mikey up in a hug, one they all join.
Jesus Christ, when we get free.
You'll never be free, my dear. Haven't you heard? Masculinity's a prison.
Toxic masculinity's a prison.
I stand corrected.
He gives Joe a side hug. In the distance, the sound of police sirens.
And look at that. Your ride home is here. Right on time.
Joe, Tewks, and Darnell lead Convict 1 and 2 in the direction of the sirens. Mikey comes to the center of the stage.
I can sense the unwashed masses. That's you getting restless. So why don't we just skip to the end, okay? The police took our new friends back to their cells, gave us these adorable little commendations, and rescued McCloskey and Peavy. Luckily, the extent of their injuries was a slight concussion and a sprained wrist. Interestingly, being trapped down there gave them the space and time to talk through some things.
McCloskey and Peavy re-enter holding hands.
As for the rest of us, we realized that our week at camp was rapidly coming to a close. We collectively decided that after everything that happened to us, the last thing we wanted to do was go home and lie to you about what goes on in these woods every summer. And since it was my brilliance that led to the capture of our nemesis, they agreed to take part in this little experiment in devised documentary theater.
Joe, Tewks, and Darnell re-enter and join the group.
So, since time is of the essence and subtlety isn't really our style, I think we should wrap this up by going around and telling the audience what we've learned. Dee, why don't you kick us off? Don't forget to pass the exposition stick.
I learned that there's always room in my life for new friends. But I still don't like nature.
I learned that I don't need a label to feel good about myself.
If you ever change your mind about that, I own several top-of-the-line label makers.
I bet you do.
I learned that embracing the things I'm passionate about will help me find the people who like me for me, not the person I'm pretending to be.
They look expectantly at McCloskey and Peavy.
Us too.
You're never too old for a satisfying character arc.
I guess I've learned it's okay to let go every once in a while and share the spotlight.
And I learned that I can stand up for myself in ways that are healthy and don't cause grievous bodily harm.
They all look at Mikey.
Don't look at me. I didn't learn anything. I'm the director. I'm already perfect. Fine. I guess I came to the realization that I don't need anyone to validate my existence. And that I should probably, maybe occasionally, think about others before myself. Every once in a while.
How you feeling? That looked like it hurt.
They all laugh, and even Mikey cracks a hint of a smile.
Enough about us. The important thing is what you learned. Yes, you, our beloved family and friends. And don't bother thinking too hard. I'm going to tell you. We hope you learn to accept us for who we are and support us, even when we don't live up to the image you've had in your head all our lives or some societal expectation. And if you can't quite do that, then at least don't get in our way. Because in exchange for not publicly accusing you of gross parental neglect, you're going to be sending us back here next year. And every year after that, for as long as we want. And not just for a week, for the entire summer. Capiche? But for now, we're going to end Camp Manuppia's inaugural theatrical extravaganza with, what else? A musical number! Because what's a summer camp experience without a talent show? Am I right?
They begin to dance while something upbeat, defiant, and queer plays. The dancing can be spontaneous or choreographed. Maybe they bring the audience into it. Regardless, it must be joyful, radiantly joyful and unself-conscious. After a few moments of this, they take their bows. Suddenly, the music cuts out. The house lights come up.
Okay, thank you. Admirable work, everyone. Take a quick breather and then circle back around for notes.
Joe, McCloskey, Peavy, and Tewks groan and mill about the stage, stretching or grabbing water bottles.
Not bad for a first stumble through?
No, not bad, but not transcendent either. And the ad-libbing has gotten totally out of control.
Yeah, sorry about that. How are you feeling about the ending?
It's just not right, is it? It's too neat, too pat.
McCloskey re-enters, a towel around his neck.
You rang, dear?
Not pat like Patrick. Pat like trite. Cliche.
Oh, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Excuse you.
I personally think it works fine.
Whether it works or not is the bare minimum.
What does it even matter? It's not like anyone's ever going to see it anyway.
About that.
This can't be good.
I was thinking, why couldn't we actually perform this? You know, for other people. You all aren't that terrible.
Careful. That was almost a compliment.
Mikey, you know we can't do that.
Of course we can. We can get some of the other campers to be extras. I mean, why should we hide our light under a bushel?
And rob our fearless director of a line on his resume, I assume?
If we perform this play for anyone else, then everyone will know.
Exactly. Just think about how liberating that would be.
As in liberating me from my main source of income?
I know you mean well, but you can't just out.
Oh, come on. What's the worst that can happen?
A profound silence hangs over the group. Mikey, for the first time, looks unsure of himself.
Maybe your parents would eventually come around, but what about the rest of us? When our parents realize this isn't working, what if they decide they need to do something more extreme, or that we're not worth the effort?
They wouldn't. I mean, they couldn't. Could they? God, why didn't I think of that before? Am I the most selfish person on the planet?
Maybe just a little naive, baby.
Somehow that might be worse. So that's it then?
Well, we do have an entire year to rehearse on our own.
Maybe commission the Swan Lake crew to come up with some choreography?
Who knows? Maybe one day when we're older and chronically underemployed, we can bring it to some intimate, way off Broadway black box.
Joe winks at the audience.
I mean, you all really could use the practice. How about we skip the notes and hug it out instead?
Finally, a directorial choice I can get behind.
They all take turns hugging Mikey, saying their goodbyes and exiting, until Mikey is left alone on the stage. He takes a moment to take it all in, then runs off stage and returns with the ghost light. the lights dimming as he turns it on.
I guess there's nothing left to say except see you next year.
Blackout, end of play. So, so let me explain what we're going to do here. So for the Q&A, we're going to start. I'm going to ask John a few questions just to get us going. So a brief, quick interview, and then we will open it up for comments, questions from anyone. And then that'll be structured. So I'll explain how that'll go once we finish the mini interview. So without further ado, John, again, really, I really like your play. But I'm curious. I'd like to go back to the beginning. So what led you to try your hand at playwriting?
Yeah, thanks. First, I want to say thank you, everybody. This was really fun. I appreciate you taking the time. So I actually, I'm kind of a self-taught playwright, I guess. I didn't study theater in school or anything like that, or formally in any way. I actually started reviewing plays for the Capitol Fringe Festival for DC theater scene. And after a few years of that, I just kind of thought, hey, that looks like fun. Maybe I'll try it. So I wrote a play and I submitted it to the Fringe Festival in 2014, I think. And it got accepted and I ended up self-producing it, not knowing at all what I was getting myself into, and just kind of gone from there. So. Okay, all right.
So how many plays have you written?
So I think, I think that this is my 4th or 5th full length, and then probably 15 or so plus 10-minute plays, short plays. So
15 10-minute plays.
Yeah. Yep. Probably at least. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's impressive. So just a couple questions about your writing process. Do you like to outline?
Well, I'd just say, first of all, I wish I had a process, or at least one process. I feel like it changes every time I sit down to write, which is probably not great. In terms of outlining, I do need to outline. I hate it, but I do recognize that it's important for me. But because often I'll get impatient and I'll just dive in without an outline. And that has led to a string of kind of abandoned plays after I've, written 20 pages and realized I've run out of plot or don't know where things are headed. So this play in particular, I think kind of half outlined, like I knew the general shape, but I didn't get too into detail. I've written plays before where I've done very detailed outlines of, down to like, what props or set pieces are going to be in before I really started writing dialogue. But so this was kind of a looser take on that. So,
do you like to identify the theme either before or during the writing, as opposed to settling on it after you've completed the play?
Yeah, I think I almost always have the theme first, which can be helpful, but can also be tricky, because I think you have to work a little harder to make kind of fully fleshed out, authentic characters that way, rather than starting with characters and then finding your theme. But I think always, yeah, I generally tend to start with a theme in mind. So.
Okay, and do you like to write at a certain time of day?
Yes, I am. Well, I typically only write on the weekends because I have a very, I work long hours basically, and I have a long commute. So during the week, I'm generally, too tired or don't have time. But pre-pandemic, my weekend routine was I'd get up really early. I'd go to a coffee shop, I love to write in coffee shops, and I've really, really missed that. And my productivity has really suffered not being able to do that. So I'm glad that hopefully, you know, I can start doing that again. So yeah, so usually like wake up pretty early for a weekend and get out and kind of get it done for the day, I guess, and then continue on with my weekend. That's how I typically do it.
All right. So last question then. So what was the inspiration for this play?
Sure. Yeah. So really this one, you know, the inspiration came really from, you know, my own life and also just, you know, having a lot of conversations, you know, usually over drinks with my gay friends primarily, and just talking about, you know, our experiences growing up, especially around, you know, masculinity and being manly enough. And then also kind of, you know, coming out and, you know, and then also in the gay community running into, you know, these same ideas of sort of the, you know, the masculine or straight acting gays or whatever kind of being elevated above, you know, the more effeminate. And so it's, you know, it's this thing that didn't go away by any means, you know, once we came out and, you know, joined the gay community or whatnot. And so, yeah, so just sort of a lot of those things bubbling up and, you know, lived experiences and things like that. So.
Okay. Well, John, thank you for, you know, sharing all of that with us. So now we're going to open this up to the group, to everyone watching. So, but I want to structure it. So we're gonna go through 3 phases. So in the first phase, I just would like people to share with John things they liked about the play. Okay. Oh, and John, in the first 2 phases, this is just an opportunity for you to receive comments. All right. So we'd ask you just to take it in for whatever it's worth. So again, phase 1 is anything you liked about the play. And then the second phase will be not things that you didn't like about it. It's the opposite. It's any suggestions you may have that John could consider for revision. So suggestions for revision. And then in the third round, John, then you can finally speak again, and you can ask those of us who are here any questions like, did we get this? What did we think this relationship was? Was such and such clear? That type of thing. But you can ask anything you want. Okay. I'm not good with state capitals, but you know, I'll struggle through it as best I can. All right. So we're starting with things we liked about the play, and I'll go ahead and start. The thing that just really impressed me, you know, in preparing for the reading is I think this play is extremely well structured. I mean, I see all the elements, you know, that occur later in the play. They're all foreshadowed or set up, you know, early on, and nothing comes out of nowhere. And it just, all the pieces just completely come together. And I just think the elements of the narrative and the way the characters are revealed, it's just all seamless. Very impressive. Okay. Other comments, things we liked.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Yep.
Go ahead, Bob.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna destroy a lie for you right now. I know in the 20 years in the military, there was a period of don't ask, don't tell. The real story, and I'm here to tell you the truth, is don't ask, don't tell. We didn't care. I have friends of mine in the military I knew were gay, but if they weren't jerks, no big deal. You know, I mean, you don't like jerks in your life no matter what they are. And the only 2 people that I ever had busted were guys who had been ratted out by other friends of theirs in the military. So I had to listen to some of this, and in fact, one of them is still here in Maryland, and also I was stationed on the island of Crete for 13 years. They have no gay bars. They have no gay clubs. Everybody goes to every bar and every club. It doesn't matter. So I had friends there as well. And I just got really comfortable about being around people, you know, who aren't the same as me. And I rather enjoyed it. It taught me a lot about life. And that's what this play did for me. It brought me back to those days, like when I'd be in a club and Manos, his boyfriend broke up with him and he's crying. And when I'm going, hey man, everything will be okay. You'll find another guy, you know? So it didn't bother me in the least. So when I came back to America finally in 1993, I was living in downtown Maryland in Fells Point, and I would go in bars there, and I was noticing something different. There was some sort of separation, and I didn't like that, so I stopped going.
Thank you, Bob. All right, other thoughts? Kathleen?
Yes, I enjoyed the play. My favorite part of the play is the character development of all the young people, especially. Jo was interesting to me because she was so unsure, still finding her way. So that was, I guess, most interesting journey. But I did like.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say a similar thing, that I really liked the characters, and one of the things I really liked was the way the characters' relationships with each other grew. Like in all kinds, you know, like sort of all kinds of people, all different people. It was a little bit like Breakfast Clubby, right? Like we wouldn't all be friends together, but now we're all thrown into this environment, right? And we come out at the end, so there's kind of like I don't know if that was your intention, but there was like a little bit of a Breakfast Clubby kind of vibe of all these different people from different backgrounds who would never meet and never really know each other in real life, thrown into this, you know, camp environment for a week and sort of forced to figure it out. And, you know, the end result is, you know, we're all friends. If that wasn't what you were going for, then my apologies, but that's how
No, that's great. Thank you.
Other things we liked? Anybody? Daniel?
Personally, I liked how relatable it was, especially specifically with my character. It was almost creepy. I'm like, this is me. I just liked the exploration of like what it means to be a straight man, like, or the pressure we put on ourselves sometimes, or psych puts on ourselves as straight men, even to the people you hang out with, who you're not allowed to hang out with. I had this, you know, from like elementary school, middle school, high school. Like I would hang out with my gay friends and be like, hey, bro, what you hanging around there for? I'm like, they're my friends like anybody else. And that was very interesting to explore, just as far as Darnell's character. And also I like the fact that he's a nerd like me. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I love the relationships, the dynamics between them, and how it shows that like men can be best friends. They can have love for each other, because that's made taboo often, especially personally in like the Black community. It's like if we're kind of like standoffish about the way we express our love to a fellow male. So that was awesome. I love that aspect about it.
The dialogue was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Dialogue was funny, was lively. It thought it represented each character differently.
Alex?
Yeah, I like that the play really takes its time to talk about masculinity from multiple different angles. I don't really think the play, the first time I started reading this, I assumed it was going to be a play kind of like, you know, poo-hooing masculinity. But after like reading it a bunch of times, it has this really interesting way of asking questions about masculinity and pointing out things about societal masculinity without necessarily attacking it. I think this play does a really good job of talking about masculinity and approaching it through multiple different perspectives. And it kind of lets the audience leave with their own understanding, hopefully a renewed understanding of how they conceive masculinity.
Yes.
Thank you.
John, something else that I particularly liked about your play is what I'm thinking of as my favorite scene. and that is it's the scene. It's in the first half. It's the scene between Counselor Peavy and Darnell. I just love that scene, and the reason I love it is because of everything that's going on simultaneously. So so you've got the text where this man and this young man sort of open up a bit to each other, and they begin to share. But then at the same time, that scene, the subtext I found in that scene is particularly rich. There is so much going on between the two of them, and the things that they are revealing about themselves to each other. And I mean, the thing that I just loved about that scene was that it very subtly foreshadows Peavy's, shall we say, standing up for himself against McCloskey later. And it's all done through subtext, and I just love the way that works on a very subtle level.
I like that scene too, because I got to mention Bob Ross, but I had to keep from ad-libbing "Happy Little Trees," and and not only that, I like the one with where and it set me up so I could yell at Archie. And anytime I can yell at Archie in anything I do with him, that's okay by me. Thanks.
Yes, and I want to echo what Kathleen said. The play is just, I mean, it's laugh out loud funny. Seeing it today, presented in the form of a reading, but I mean, just reading it. I remember the very first time I read it. I would suddenly find myself bursting out loud laughing because so many of the lines just snuck up on me. So yes. All right. So now we'll slip into phase 2. So again, this is suggestions for revision for the playwright. And now, John, if you violently disagree with any of these suggestions, please don't reach through my camera and strangle me, because these
my computer out the window. So.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so these are just thoughts, suggestions for you to consider or not, as you will. So I will start. So it occurs to me that to suggest that to consider cutting some of the moments, I think particularly earlier in the play, where Mikey, again duresses the audience. So he steps out of the play within the play, because I mean, you have such an interesting structure here that at the same time, I felt some of the shorter moments of that, I didn't feel they added anything. And I felt they actually interrupted the flow of the narrative at that moment. I'm not saying in every case, I'm not saying cut them all. I'm just saying consider cutting some of them, particularly some of the shorter ones, if that makes sense. Okay. So other suggestions for John to consider for revision.
I mean, I guess I have something that's sort of similar, which is I'm not entirely sure what was gained in the play by setting it up as a play within a play instead of just making it a play. For me, like there were times when I was watching it and I would kind of forget that it was supposed to be the play within the play, and I was like, I'm just not entirely sure, like that added much to it versus if you just sort of kept it as a play. I don't know.
Alex.
I half agree with some of that. I agree that maybe there's a couple moments where it's distracting where someone breaks character. I personally like that it's set up as a play within a play. I think it leaves a lot of room for the convict thing to happen, and that's very funny. I think it has its advantages. One thing that I'm not sure about, and I might be the only one who can attest to this because I was at the last reading, I think I prefer the way that it ended in the first draft compared to this one.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah, I think the audience is kind of already asked to be in on it and to sort of participate in it, and then to at the very end have another haul of like just kidding, you're not actually here. You're actually just, it's maybe a little rocky, or it tripped me up a little bit, I think. But that's maybe the thing that was most jarring to me this time around, I guess.
So let me just explain for the group. So the version that we read today was a slight revision from the version that John had originally submitted to the BPF. And well, actually, John, why don't you go ahead? Tell people. We'll break format here for just a moment. So tell people, because the play originally, the version that we were submitted, that John submitted to us, ended with the dance number at the end of the play. And John, tell everybody, if you would, why you revised it to add the note session.
So we added that scene, and that came from some conversations I had more recently with I guess kind of just like a logic / tone thing of like if we take it at its face value, like this play would literally be outing like hundreds of of people whose parents were hostile enough to send them to a masculinity camp. So if you actually thought about it any deeper, like this is actually kind of terrible, unless every camper agreed. So I think that was kind of which is actually, again, and I kind of put myself in the Mikey character of like, oh, I actually had not thought about that. Very far down the line. Sort of the implications of that. So that was kind of that, and then and then I guess it was also again adding another layer of the play within the play, which might be one layer too far. I agree. So so I was just trying to see. I thought it was interesting, but I also it's definitely a tonal shift too. You end on a kind of more on a heavier note than if you just ended with the dance scene. So so it was good to kind of to hear it, just to see if if it's something I wanted to keep or if I wanted to go back to what I had. I also never really loved the first ending, so I was also kind of looking if there were other ways to end it potentially. But.
Okay. Well, in that regard, I agree with Alex, and I noticed that, and you and I had talked a little bit about this, when we first began working together on this reading. But then, as I spent more time on the play, thinking about it and preparing for the rehearsals and the reading, my own feeling was that. And I get everything you just shared with us, about the logic of it and all of that. But from the audience perspective, I agree with Alex that while I see the validity of the current ending in terms of the reality of the situation and the play within the play, and how, again, all these people, all these campers would be outed, that simultaneously, I found that as an audience member, less satisfying emotionally, because that moment with, as you wrote it, with the dance number, well, I mean, that's a big high. And so just from an audience perspective, I found that less satisfying. And so my suggestion for revision is to dispense with the note scene. Just one guy. All right. Other suggestions? Any other suggestions for the playwright?
I think he could get. Now that I know the original ending, I like the part about the dance scene too, but maybe have the dance scene going on, then the music slowly fade, and Mikey step out and do a little bit of the stuff that's in there right now, and then as he ends it and goes, "Hey, this is it," where goes back and the music cues up and he goes back to dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
My Italian for you. I don't know.
Even though I thought the play ended several times before we got there, I like knowing that you can't just out everyone. So maybe, yes, that idea could just be incorporated with less heaviness, being a little bit earlier. But I found it moving to have to think about that, how careful people have to be all the time.
Okay. All right. All right. Daniel, not to put you on the spot, any suggestions for John?
I personally just I like the ending personally.
Okay.
I like probably because the leading up to so like them, having a group hug. I'm a little mushy stuff. I liked it. And then, the whole, I guess, see you next year. It's kind of like, how do I say this? Right now, I don't know how to say this. Right now, it might not be the best, but just know that it's going to get better and we're going to see each other next year. It's going to be awesome again. That's why I liked it.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Daniel, thank you for sharing. All right. Any other comments before we release the playwright? All right, John, any questions for us about anything related to the play?
Sure. I was going to ask about the ending, so
yes,
we covered that. I guess my only other thought is, so something I'm very torn on is, I guess, kind of pacing in the second act, only because, like, it's supposed to be kind of more madcap comedy, and there's a lot of, like, mushy stuff, or earnest conversations in there, which I really like, because I like that the characters can interact, but I also realize that, like, we're dropping sort of earnest, standing in place conversations in the middle of what's otherwise like a caper, kind of thing. So I don't know how people are feeling, if that drags it out too much, or, we lose momentum too much. I also really like those moments of different people having conversations. So I'm kind of torn on, if it's too much one way or the other.
So I have a question for you based on what you just said, is if this was going to be staged live, so not a Zoom, how would you show that, all that madcap action and that frenzy and that, because maybe that would affect some of the pacing of the play, is if you think about how you would do this live.
Right. Yeah, that's something to consider too. Yeah, and I do think the other thing I was going to say was that I think the play within a play would hopefully be a lot more, I mean, you would have to see, but I'm hoping that would be a lot more clear and more interesting when staged, because I think a lot of that would be hopefully shown in like action and set. It's also kind of, I was hoping, that people would have fun with set changes that were like clearly like amateurs trying to pull off a set change, or like, to have fun with those kinds of things that obviously don't translate in a reading setting.
But yeah. Jennifer, that's more my problem than John's, actually.
No, I know, but if you imagine how the acting would look, it maybe helps you think about the tone you want in the writing. Like, right?
I mean, I think a lot about something that immediately comes to mind is like the movie Bridesmaids, which is like maybe like my favorite comedic movie. And something that I think one of the things that really sits with people so much about that movie is that there's this like whole chunk towards the middle end of the play where everything gets like very earnest, and everyone, you kind of really get to know the people, and then it gets really funny again, but it never loses the comedy. And I think I relate best to comedies, and I think the most successful comedies are the ones where the sort of like comedy is broken a little bit, and you get to see underneath of it before it comes back or whatever. I think it really helps, listening to it, it helps me like settle in to the story, and it helps me relate to it a little more than if it was just a constant jab back and forth of like another funny line and another funny line. I think it actually really works.
Yes. Yeah, John, if I can, I'd like to echo what Alex just said, because I remember when you presented your question, you used the word pacing, and I keyed in on that in this way. So, and again, I'm speaking directorially, but also about writing as well. So a lot of times when it comes to comedy, the constant advice, or that's not constant, the frequent advice, the frequent suggestion is always faster. All right, faster. You know, the comedy works better faster. But pacing, I believe, is something different. And I believe to have effective pacing is not just to speed something up, because if you just speed, if you're doing one thing and then you speed it up, well, then now you're just doing more of that same thing and you're doing it more quickly. Whereas I believe the key, or what I try to do when it comes to pacing, is I try to vary the pacing. All right. And I think that's what helps audience engagement and reader engagement. And, you know, as I'm sitting here answering your question, I think, I'll put it this way. I felt that those scenes in the second half, they worked for me in the sense that, yes, there were these earnest moments, but one, you were already breaking them up by the cross cutting. And then I didn't feel like the earnest moments went on too long. So you would have an earnest moment of a duration, and then something funny would be said or happen, and then more earnestness, and then something funny. And I think that variety of, because the earnest moments, they're slower, okay? Whereas the comedic moments are faster. And I think that variety of pacing, I put it this way, I didn't find that any of that dragged.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions you wanted to ask us, John?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share with John, or the group? I mean, stock tips, you know, anything that you might find helpful?
It was a good reading. You did a good job on, right, with Rick Cast. Nice play, John.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Our cast, you guys really brought it today. Yes. I too would like to thank our cast, and I'll reach out to everybody, you know, to thank you again, the guys again formally. But yeah, really nice job, everybody. Yeah, very pleased, very pleased. Feel honored and privileged to have worked with you guys.
Same here. Had a great
And
time.
I will email all of you once it's posted on YouTube. Sometime in the next few days, the video will end, this discussion will be posted on YouTube, and I will email you all the link. It'll be on the BPF YouTube channel, but I will send the link to everyone since I have all your emails. So you can share it with anybody who didn't make it today, but still wants to see how awesome it was.
Yes, cool. Here. Yeah, John, you've really got something here. Was this your third reading of the play?
Yes. Yeah. I had one really early in the like May, I guess, last year in the pandemic. And then the one Alex was in I think December. And so this was kind of the third go at it. So.
But this was the first time you heard it with the ending we heard today?
Yeah, first time I heard it with the ending, yes. And I've only ever heard it via Zoom, interestingly.
Oh, okay.
I finished it before the pandemic, but
okay.
have happened via Zoom. So.
Well, we love your play, and we're so grateful that you submitted it to the BPF so that we could experience your work and you. So thank you.
And thank you all. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your, I'm sure, busy schedules to play around with the script, and I really appreciate it. So.
All right.